Hey, greetings, brothers. Good evening. It definitely helps if I turn my camera on before we get started. So, camera's on. We can now chat. Hello, folks. How are you doing? Um, Marco starts the stream by saying, "Has anyone run the numbers on flesh tears? How's their damage output now that armor of Contemptor is a thing?" I mean, I guess it's slightly better than Blood Angels, but well, is it though? Because you just get an additional AP1 on sixes. It's pretty swingy, I guess. Daniel says, kind of feels like any list looked at today will be outdated within a few days. That's very true, Daniel. So maybe we'll, yeah, I suppose that is very, very true. But we can, I mean, still got three lists, so I guess we'll jump into them and see what's what. Uh, Joe says, I'm finally got my Blood Angels Vanguard Veterans painted up and I'm excited to see how they play in the table. Yeah, I mean, Vanguard Veterans are, if Sangre Guard are coming down on points, who knows? Who knows? Howdy, Seraph Song. Good evening, Mike. Good evening, Dark Ginger. Harry, how you doing, James? Nate, good afternoon. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I don't know if anyone missed the stream last night. I did win a cool trophy for third place at the Void Hammer RTT. So first time I've placed in the top three in an event, I guess, since I came back to hobby. Last time I got to the top table, I bottled it and ended up playing fifth. So this time I got to the top table. I had actually finished the tournament second on battle points. So it was done on wins losses, but that's fine. Pretty pleased. I feel like I played okay. I feel like if I'd had more experience into Space Wolves, I think I could have won the tournament. So hopefully, I actually feel like if I play that Space Wolf player again today, I probably beat him because I know what he can do now. I didn't know before the game. So I'm gonna give shit to my friends that play Space Wolves that they haven't been on my like. I don't actually have a single game of Space Wolves on the channel. The channel is gonna turn 2 years old in like 6 weeks time. So I was giving one of my friends shit last night because I was like, I've been doing a game a week for 2 years. You've never brought your Space Wolves on the channel. You suck. Um, I just didn't know. I just didn't know enough about Space Wolves. And it doesn't matter about the Marines, Robert. Honestly, I beat Tyranids, which was huge. And I beat them by 20 points, which was pretty great actually, because Tyranids are so strong. So yeah, okay, we're gonna look into some of these lists. And Tyranids have if you look at any of the stuff in the Tyranids Codex, they all feel like they're 20 points cheaper than they need to be. So I guess we'll see. I imagine Tyranids are going to go the same way as like Admech and Dukari, where a lot of the units are going to go up 10 or 20% of points. Far too many tournaments are being won by Tyranids, but yeah, it felt really good to beat the Tyranids. Good evening, Andy. Okay, so tonight's lists are by we got three, as always. They're by Alejandro, Carter, and D King. And what do Space Wolves either do them and get +1 to hit in the first round of combat? They can get exploding sixes and assault doctrine. He was running Whirlwind of Rage, so his sixes exploded twice. And he was running Born Heroes, so he gets +1 to hit when he charges. And they have something else. They're Woven Fight on Death, which is a big problem for me because my army's all melee, so I couldn't really trade into them very effectively. And what else do they get? Oh, they get like Fight Lasts and Heroic Interventions all over the place. So I think it was the. I actually want to check. I think the guy put a Fight Last on my Sangre Guard when they weren't visible to him, and I don't know the name. I don't know I can't remember what ability he used to make them fight last. But I actually wanted to check that. Like, do they have a way of making me fight last if they have no line of sight on me? That was the thing that maybe confused me. I don't know what power that was, or I don't know if it was a relic. I know he also had the Armor of Rust, which was another fight last. But yeah, so that was that. Okay, so let's get into this first list, and yeah, I mean, I guess I need to go and look at that Space Wolves list again and see what was fight last. But yeah, I honestly think if I play that game again, because if I picked different secondaries, I could have had at least 10 or 11 more points on him. And then if I'd gone second, I would have won because he wouldn't have scored 10 more points than me at the moment. So, alright. So this is Alejandro's first list. I'll make a video on my list anyway this week. So he struggled with the size of Sanguinary Guard in the characters. Okay, I mean, I guess he means in how many he's taking in the list. He's also at 1991 points, so it feels like there's 9 points here we can definitely use something for. He's got Angel's Ascendant for 1 CP, and he's got Dante as his Warlord. He's got Librarian Dreadnought, who has been upgraded to the Chief Librarian. He's running a Stormbolter, and he's got Unleash Rage, Shield, and Wings. I'm not sure if I feel Shield is that valuable anymore. Probably go Blood Boil or Quickening. I also think you could easily take a Heavy Flamer or a Meltagun here. I think that's just 5 points. I think both are better than the Stormbolter. Stormbolter doesn't really do much, period. I also think that if you are upgrading him to the Chief Librarian, it feels like it's worth it to make him Hero of the Chapter and get the +1 to all your casts. I didn't need that much this weekend, but it does help overall, right? Does also, the Space Wolf fight last doesn't require line of sight. Alright, so yeah, that was valid then, thanks DTM. Yeah, so that fucked me. I didn't realise that he had a fight last out of line of sight. So he put that in the Sanguinary Guard, which basically cancelled one of the times I was going to heroically intervene. I didn't know he could do that. So it's always hard to... yeah, I mean, it sucks when you're at the top table for an event and you don't know exactly what all your opponent's stuff does. I mean, I'm not super familiar with all the Tyranid stuff either, but yeah, you know, like with the Tyranids is a bit more clear. It's just like, right, I'm going to get mortal wounded to death. Whereas with the Space Wolves, with that fight last, I didn't know that was possible. Murderous Hurricane. Yeah, so that fucked me. I would have been back. I would have had a Sanguinary Guard squad that could have heroically intervened and could have mauled them on the middle objective, which would have basically, I guess, swung primary like 4 more to me and cut off some of his oath points. Yeah, sucks. Okay. Assault Intercessors and Cursors and Cursors. I mean, this is very standard. Most people do something like this. How did your whirlwind fare overall in the event? I mean, the fight last was useful when I needed fight last. It was also useful for plinking stuff off objectives, like it always is, if you don't need it. And it held my backfield objective in both games. In 3 games, I guess. Like no one destroyed it. It does what it always does. It just sits on the backfield. I mean, if you're going to sit a squad of tactical marines or something similar in the backfield, then you pay 35 per points for the whirlwind. I'm going to be back in just 1 second. My daughter's awake. The air is dead. Long live the air. I don't know what that means. Death Company 5 with all Thunderhammers. Is that the right number of points for 5 Thunderhammers? I think he's forgotten jump packs. Is that the right number of points for 5 Death Company with Thunderhammers? I had my list on paste bin. Nope. Nope. Death Company. Yeah, so he needs jump packs. Death Company without jump packs here is not going to make a whole heap of sense, so you need to spend the 10 points on the jump pack. You got Icon of the Angel and the Sanguine Ancient, and you got the Infernal Pistol. I think you're probably going to get more value here out of the Wrath of Baal. I really think the Wrath of Baal is a great relic. I think getting to 2 inches of additional movement is going to overplay reroll of charges, unless you're planning on doing some sort of deep strike with the Sanguine Ancient. I have also recently been running the Sanguine Ancient with Rites of War, which is, I think, super powerful because he can daisy chain 6. He can be 6 inches off the objective. You can have a core unit on the objective 6 inches away, giving them obsec. I think that's really, really powerful. So Icon of the Angel, I guess, on the Sanguine Ancient is okay. Wrath of Baal / Rites of War, I think, is better. We can chat reasonably freely, though. But Mark is right. The show is about other people's lists. I guess it's a weird week, Mark, where I just ordered chapter approved today, so I guess it's coming on Saturday. So these lists could be slightly wrong or out of points in a week's time. Yeah, there could be a drop pod, I suppose, for these Death Company, but I don't think there is. He's got 2 4-man squads of Sanguinary Guard, and they're all axes and they're all Infernal Pistols. And personally, I don't like this. I think Infernal Pistols, you're not often in range to shoot them. Maybe like you'll be in range even less to shoot them by not having Wrath of Baal. But it makes them like 37 points a model, which is expensive. I prefer like 1 Infernal Pistol in the squad. Maybe you could do 2. I also think swords are in a really good place right now. If you're fighting into big enemy nasty armor, for example, I played Death Guard at my tournament, and if you're fighting into Death Guard, axes are not that great because they're just -2, so typically they're getting like reasonably decent saves. If you have the swords, they're essentially going to be -3, and that's an Assault Doctrine. So in turn 1, the axes are just -1. So these 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, they're too small, too many Infernal Pistols. You can actually, I run one of my Sanguinary Guards with no Infernal Pistols, period. Their killing power is really, they're overwhelming a number of melee attacks. It's not their guns. Their guns can do something, I guess. Yeah, sure. I mean, occasionally you'll have an Infernal Pistol that does 8 damage, but more often than not, you'll have an Infernal Pistol that they'll just save it on an invulnerable save and it does nothing. It's the sheer number of attacks that are strong here. You've got an Scepter squad with the Plasmas, and you've got 2 Heavy Melter Rifle Eradicators, and then you've got the Whirlwind as well. Okay, multiple squads of Eradicators, to me, again, I feel like their damage is just dwarfed by Sanguinary Guard. So I think having a squad of Eradicators is nice because it can do a bit of chip, or it can do a little bit of threat. You can hunker them down in a building. But having multiple squads, what was your characters again? I feel like you're unlikely to have many rerolls on these guys. I find Heavy Melter Rifle Eradicators are too slow as well. I prefer the normal ones. I feel like Blood Angel's best asset is her movement ability, and 2 squads of Heavy Melter Rifles feels wrong. If you wanted to have 2 squads of shooting, I'd maybe go like a squad of Eliminators with las fusils. I don't hate that, but I do kind of. I tried running 2 squads of Heavy Melter Rifles, and I just felt they were too immobile. I played a game against Orcs, and the Orc player went straight for me, and the Heavy Melters felt great. And then the very next game I played Sisters of Battle, and Sisters are kind of like us. They're fast, they're mobile, they're all over the place, and the Heavy Melter Rifles just felt bad. So I don't rate Heavy Melter Rifles. Scepters, I guess, might be becoming a lot better because of the 3-man squad changes that they've talked about. But I don't typically like to run Plasmas myself because there's just too high a chance that the Plasma guys will kill themselves, right? You drop in the Plasmas, I guess if you think about it this way, if you get 18 plasma shots, you would average 3 ones, right? And then you re-roll your ones. So at that point, you're re-rolling 3 ones. And if you get any ones, you lose a model. So basically, you're saying it's every time you want to fire the plasma guys, 50-50 chance that one of them dies. If they change the plasmas to be mortal wounds, like you take a mortal wound, then I would rate the plasmas. For now, I don't rate Inceptors. I ran Inceptors at a tournament, but they were Bolter Inceptors. And I think if I was going to run Inceptors again, I would probably run the Bolter ones as well. Good reason riddance to the last. I never had too many problems with to the last, really. Usually when people take to the last, they don't often max the number of points, but I guess if that's getting removed, that's fine. Highland Phoenix says, recommend a power sword on the Salt Intercessor Sergeant. I actually kind of agree with that. I think it's a decent choice. Gives them a little bit more killing power for not too many points, so that's okay. Squad size changes on Scepters. What they're changing, I believe, is that you'll be able to score like engage on all fronts if the model ever started with, if the unit ever started with 3 guys. So if 2 of your guys are dead, you can still score with that unit. So 5 Bolter Inceptors for 200 points do wonders. I mean, they probably did wonders before Armor of Contempt. I guess they're going to be pretty weak into Space Marines. I guess Plasma Inceptors are risky. Some people seem to swear by them. I don't know if... You don't see them in many tournament lists now. At Starter 9th, you used to see them in a lot of lists. Now you don't really see them. I guess if you're running a Selfless Healer Priest, then... he's running a Legends Priest? Okay. Who's the Chief Apothecary? If you've upgraded him to Chief Apothecary, you need to give him the Warlord trait to make him Selfless Healer. And he can have Armor Indomitus, but he can't... If you're wanting to play in a tournament, he can't have a Thunderhammer and he can't have a Combi Melta. He can just have Armor Indomitus and he's got a Bolter and a Chainsword. I guess you could give him the Teeth of Terra if you want to make him just Chainsword better. That's the one decent option you think you can do him. You've never played Modern Craft World yet, though. Yeah, I mean, I've played Kev's Craft World, but Kev isn't really a competitive player. You're right, Mark. I wish we had a more competitive Eldar player. Do you know what? Miles, who was at the tournament yesterday, I think he finished about 5th. He actually won the first round of Voidhammer RTT. He's got a tournament Eldari list, so maybe I need to ping Miles and see if I can get a game. I actually don't have a game for anyone this week, so maybe I'll ping Miles and see if he's free in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll ping Miles. Good evening, Jacob. The cost nerf from Plasma hit them hard. Bolter Inceptors is nice versus most chaff, though. Blood Angels have better things, which is better around. Yeah, I mean, Bolter Inceptors, 18 shots, -2, strength 5, 1 damage. They're fine if they arrive in turn 2. If they can perform an action, then that's great. Actually, they can shoot and perform an action. I do like that, but obviously they got hit with They used to be able to guarantee like Nakman data and stuff. They can't do that anymore. So I guess Inceptors took a little bit of a hit from the Nakman data change. This chapter approved book is only 5 months after the last. I mean, I felt like I felt like the season was too short. I asked on the community tab how people felt about the season, and the general response was like most people either felt it was too short, and then most people felt digital rules would be better. But that's another point. So as you stand right now with 12 CP, I'd put 1 CP into making the Chief Librarian the Psychic Master. I'd play 1 CP and make the Sanguinary Priest the Selfless Healer. I'd also lose the combi weapon and Thunderhammer and make him a valid 9th edition whatever character, and that would save you 20 points. Use 10 of those 20 points to make this Death Company better. I would drop 1 squad of Heavy Metal Rifle Eradicators, and I would add 2 more Sanguinary Guard to each of these squads. I would mix up swords and axes. I would get some Angelus Bolters onto the Sanguinary Guard. because I think that's too many Infernal Pistols. I suppose I'm fine with your Scepters and your Heavy Metal Rifle Eradicators if you like them. I don't particularly like them, and I also think Wrath of Baal is a better choice than the Sangre Ancient. And then I would swap out the Stormbolter as well. So that's some small changes I would make. But I don't think... I think these Sangre Guards need to be at least 6. If they're less than 6... You know, if the enemy managed to get line of sight on them and kills a couple of them, then 2 Sangre Guard are going to do shit, basically. So, you know, you need to expect to lose a couple and still be good. That's why probably 7 is an optimal number. Wasn't the last chapter approved push back to make this a shorter season? I don't really know. Like, I thought it would make more sense for them to release it on the 1st of a month. I think they're releasing it on the 25th. So maybe it... Who knows? I mean, I guess that means the next book will be literally releasing on Christmas Day if it's 6 months to the day. But yeah, they're doing chapter approved twice a year. Everybody I talked to yesterday at that GT, everybody felt like it was too quick as well. So I guess if you're a hardcore player and you're playing all the time, then 6 months is great. If you're a casual player, which I guess I am, casual I guess would be defined as playing 1 game per week. You probably prefer 9 months. But Mark says it's based on money. It was only 14. It was less than £15 this time round. So they basically took £10 off the cost of it. So that's good, I guess. Supposedly designed around competitive people playing multiple times a week at tournaments every 2 or 3 weeks, and to them 6 months they might see a wrong time if the rules aren't great. Yeah. Well, we can hope for digital at some point. The same missions for an entire year was boring, but I think 6 months might just be a little bit too quick. I suppose it depends on how much the missions are changing. Okay, so that's list number 1. Let me do a little bit of scoring on this list. Where's my tab? Alright, so objective holding, no rights of war or anything like that, so we go with like an 8.5. Anti-horde effectiveness, I mean, we've got the plasmas. That's really the only... I don't really rate the Whirlwind as... Whirlwind is not really there as a killing unit at all now. It's there to suppression fire. Occasionally it'll kill like a Poxwalker or 2. I think my best turn I maybe killed like 4 Poxwalkers with the Whirlwind. I did kill that annoying Space Wolf dog though with the Whirlwind as well, which was useful. Okay, so anti-horde I guess is lowish, 7.5 maybe in this list. Anti-vehicle, well, we've got the 5 Thunderhammers here, but they're not mobile. We've got 8 Infernal Pistols, 9 Infernal Pistols, 6 Meltas. So we have a lot of weapons that are 3 damage or more, but these really aren't optimal. Quite often with Sanguinary Guard, you'll find you're charging from like 5 or 6 inches away. So a couple of these pistols are going to be out range. You're better off just having more Sanguinary Guard. You really are. I guess a big thing that's going to depend on how good we are next season is if they put the points cost of Sanguinary Guard up again. Yeah, so the book went down about a third in price. That I agree with that, Mark. That has me less fucked off because the last one felt very expensive. I wouldn't have been happy paying that every 6 months, I guess. Mobility, well, heavy metal rifles aren't mobile. And I guess your assault intercessors aren't mobile, so 7.5. And then specialization. So we've got some denies. We've got fight last, we've got Overwatch denial. We've got units for actions. We've got 3 damage weapons. We've actually got too many CP because we haven't spent enough pre-game. I guess that might change after this new book. Protection against mortal wounds. We have a little bit from the priest, and then we've got 4 characters in this list. So that's probably the biggest problem with this list, right? Assuming this was the normal price of 135 points. So that gives you 250 plus 425, 525 plus 68, 590. You're about 190 points too many characters. You're opening yourself up for assassinate, and coming from someone who was just at a tournament yesterday with 3 characters that cost 400 points, I feel like I was right on the edge of how many characters I can have. So I spent, I think, 415 points on characters, and that's possibly too much. So 590 points of characters is way too much. I mean, maybe the Dreadnought is an exception to the rule. Is he? Because he's just like a flying Dreadnought? I don't know. I guess, yeah, that's a tricky one. Because, I mean, the Librarian Dreadnought is just, he's better than the Death Company Dreadnought, which isn't a character. I suppose we'll just take a little half point off for that. So maybe your characters are fine, but you just have to be aware you're going to be vulnerable to assassinate. So we'll go with like an 8. Okay, I managed to knock off a wound with a Redemptor with my Whirlwind, which turned out crucial as I only did 10 wounds when I charged it. I guess that works, Mike. I don't know what I knocked wounds off with my Whirlwind. I basically used it for Overwatch Denial and stuff like that. Steven said yesterday he wished they would release one mission a month and they'd be good for a year. Yeah, I think that's cool. Okay, let's have a look at Carter's list. List number 2. What I think I'm going to do as well, if you submitted a list that I haven't got to yet, I think I'm just going to delete all the lists I've had submitted, because I still have lists submitted from the last chapter approved, because the backlog's been way too much with Armor of Contempt and chapter approved. So I don't think I've got any outstanding member lists submitted. But I guess after the new book comes out and the new points cost comes out, I'm just going to delete all the lists that I've got. So if you want to resubmit your list, I guess be ready, because if there's a big queue, you'll want to put in your submission reasonably quickly if you want on the first few weeks, I guess. Okay, this list is a patrol detachment. Also, I was going to say, so he's got 8 CP at the end. Okay, so we've got Dante, who's the Warlord. We've got a Primaris Librarian with Veil of Time, Null Zone, and Psychic Fortress, who is the Psychic Mastery and also has Visage of Death. Interesting that he's the Primaris Librarian and not a Librarian with a Jump Pack, because I feel like the one with the Jump Pack helps so much with Null Zone. Just because you can jump him away out of your own units if you need to. Remember, you can advance and cast Psychic powers, so with like the Jump Librarian, you can guarantee move him 15 inches, even if, well, actually 16 inches, because, no, what would it be? 14 inches, because 12 plus 1 from the advance roll, and then you get your plus 1. So he moves a minimum of 14 inches, so it's very easy to move him out of your own unit's range for Null Zone. I guess if you don't have that much stuff with invulnerable saves, maybe it doesn't matter. Let's have a look through the list. You've got an Incursors. You've got a 5-man squad of Sanguinary Guard with Power Fists, Axes, and Infernal Pistols. I think you're probably just better off with swords. I think the -1 to hit you get with the Power Fist is going to offset by the +1 to wound you get with the swords. I have a bunch of Sanguinary Guard with this exact loadout, actually, and Jealous Bolt Guns and Power Fists, and I never run them. They always just sit in my cupboard on the tray. I don't think they're really that valuable, swapping out the swords for the fists. Maybe if it was free, but because it costs 5 points, I think you can spend the points better elsewhere. We've got a large squad of Vanguard Veterans with all Lightning Claws, and I think this is a 10-man. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so 10 Vanguard Veterans, all Lightning Claws. I guess they can be combat squadded, do whatever you want with them. We then have extra relic in this other detachment, and this is a Vanguard detachment. Why am I not seeing this? This is alright, so this the first one is a patrol detachment, the second one is a patrol detachment as well, and we're spending 4 CP in this. Alright, so we've got the chaplain, who's got the catechism of fire, so that's the +1 to hit, I believe. You've got Mantra of Strength, +1 to hit on ranged weapons, right? And then Litany of Hate. You've got the priest, who's the selfless healer with Icon of the Angel. You've got the Incursor squad. You've got a 5-man Centurion squad with a couple of melta guns, 1 Hurricane Bolter. I feel like if you're going to do this with your Centurions, if you're going to have one guy with if you're going to have the Sergeant with the Hurricane Bolter, you should probably just put Quake Bolts on him for the 1 CP. Because the Centurion's biggest problem is that they just have that weapon skill of 3-up. So if you give the Sergeant with the Hurricane Bolt or the Quake Bolts, you could essentially change that to weapon skill 2-up or +1 to hit, which I think is going to be big. I think the biggest... But then that... Speaking of, I suppose if you've got 5 Centurions, that's a shitload of attacks. And that's a shitload of Strength 10 -4 attacks, I think. I have 1 Centurion squad. Maybe I need to buy this. So you would get 6 attacks on the Sergeant, you get 5 attacks on everybody else. So yeah, you get 26 attacks hitting on 3s. You still lose quite a lot from your... You probably lose like 5 or 6 of them. Maybe even more. So hitting on 2s would give you maybe 5 extra Strength 10, -4, 3 damage hits. At that point, you're killing anything in the game. If you make 20 hits, you're going to wound on 2s. It's very much like the Thunderhammer Death Company, actually. So yeah, I actually do like... I would actually... If I was going to run this squad, I'd probably pay the 1 CP to give them Quake Bolts. Okay, then you've got Death Company, who's a 10-man as well. 5 Thunderhammers, 5 Chainswords, and then you've got the Whirlwind. Okay, so it's the Death Company 10-man, the Vanguard Veterans 10-man, the 5 Sanguinary Guard, Incursors, Librarian, Dante, Chaplain, Sanguinary Priest. I mean, again, to me, this is too many points on characters. 280 plus 285, so 560 or something. The 2 squads of Incursors, I guess, is decent. The command point starting is decent, but I do feel like there's probably an upgrade to be taken here. Why Catechism of Fire here? Like, what's he getting out of that? What am I missing? I thought Catechism of Fire was the one that gives +1 to hit to a shooting model. Am I wrong? Select 1 for... Oh no, this is each time a model in the attack makes a ranged attack, you're adding 1 to the wound roll. Maybe he's trying to make his flamers or his melta guns better. I mean, don't know what else you would really be getting out of that. On the Centurions, yeah. And hold on, it doesn't work on the Centurions because it's core characters, and Centurions aren't core. I don't like Vanguard Veterans really anymore. Highland Phoenix into other Marine armies, they're really weak. Centurions will no longer be able to score Oath of Moment. Why does it require core as well? Does it? He probably misread the litany, I guess. So okay, that's fine. So the 10-man Death Company, the 10-man Vanguard Veterans, the 5 Sanguinary Guard. I mean, I don't like this because I think the Sanguinary Guard are our strongest unit at the moment, and I think you should be running 2 squads of them. For a long time, I've complained about -1 damage enemies being a problem for the Sanguinary Guard. They are and they aren't. Into Death if you're running into Death Guard, I guess Mortarian's a problem, or the Terminators are a problem. But their Terminators you can kind of avoid because they're slow, and not that many armies are running Mortarian. So, like, at the end of the game, when I played Death Guard in the tournament yesterday, and I maxed all my primaries and I maxed all my secondaries against the Death Guard player, he still had, like, both his characters and a Plague Burst Crawler and a Fetid Blight, Mythic Blight Hauler, and his 10-man Terminator squad had maybe lost one model. Like, I just avoided them. They move 5 inches. I mean, I move 12 inches. Yeah, he can hold an objective, that's great, but I'm just going to move away from him and hold everything else. So I think I've been running the 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard, a 6 and a 7. And honestly, I might even consider now dropping my Vanguard Veterans for... I did think about it. Like, I did think, like, maybe I'll just run a 4-man Sanguinary Guard. I guess, hopefully, if we could get some point costs dropped, then I might end up running 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard, a 7, a 6, and a 5. And I won't run any Vanguard Veterans, but will run my Death Company with hammers. So I've kind of gone full circle where I was not running any Death Company. I think I was running 2 squads of Van Vets and a squad of Sanguinary Guard, 4 Armor of Contempt. And now I'm running 2 Sanguinary Guard, the small Vanguard Vets, the small Death Company, and I think if we get any points drops on a Sanguinary Guard, I may end up running 3 Sanguinary Guard. Why not 3 6s? I suppose 3 6s, but I think my 7 I tend to try and deploy them as the mid game unit. So I would put like the 6 far forward to be like a more early game unit, and then the 7 to come in turn 2 or 3 and mop up the board. And that's typically 7 are really good at that. If you've got a 7-man squad of Sanguinary Guard in turn 3, you're rocking, right? But yeah, Lightning Claw, it's hard to say because in some cases, you know, like Vanguard Veterans, there's still value in Storm Shields. There's 100% value in Storm Shields. Yesterday, I think, I can't remember what it was, but at one point I got hit by like 3 really nasty weapons. I think it was in the Death Guard game. I think it was actually maybe the Multi-Meltas from the... I think it was the Multi-Meltas from the Mythic Blight Haulers, and I had to make 3 4-up saves on the Vanguard Veterans, and I just rolled 3 4s. Because of Storm Shields. Whereas if it was like Sanguinary Guard, I guess they would have been -4, so it would have been 5, so all 3 would have died. So Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields, a little 5-man squad, I still do like it. I just wonder if in a lot of situations it's so hard. In some situations, you're obviously going to get more value out of the Sanguinary Guard. I think the Sanguinary Guard just always seem to have more killing power to me than Vanguard Veterans. Even if it's into really much higher toughness things. Okay, so this list, I guess, question mark on the Chaplain, question mark on having 4 characters, question mark on only 1 5-man squad of Sanguinary Guard. But apart from that, if you want to run a big squad of Centurions and back them up with a Priest, that's fine. I suppose that if you want to back them up with a Librarian as well, to maybe give them Psychic Fortress, I'll null zone anything around them as well. I suppose that's fine. I suppose your Librarian doesn't need a jump pack if he's following around a squad of super slow Centurions. The 10-man Death Company, fine. They can get obviously quite a few buffs and can get thrown forward early in the game. And yeah, I just think 4 characters, I don't like it. Question mark around this Chaplain litany. And then I guess you've got the Whirlwind down the bottom as well. Okay. Quite a few people still run the Whirlwind. It's funny because sometimes on stream people come into the stream and like, you guys should drop the Whirlwind, it's useless. And I don't know, I feel like it's not the greatest unit, but it does just hold an objective for the whole game, and it's much safe. You know, like in in the Space Wolf player, I killed everything on his backfield objective on one of the turns, and he lost control of it. Against the Death Guard player, he lost control of his backfield objective. Against the Tyranid player, do you know what? I didn't steal his backfield objective, but I actually didn't try in that game. So, okay, let's do a little bit of scoring. Let me see how I like this list. OBSEC, you only got 2 troop choices, but you did have Visage of Death, I think, right? He had Visage of Death. So maybe that puts it back up to like an 8. I guess you've got a little bit more Horde clear here, and that you've got like Death Company with a lot of chainswords. You've got Lightning Claws on a lot of guys, and you've got Flamers on a couple of the Centurions. So the Horde clear is, but I mean it's short range Horde clear. So it's, you know, I'm going to say it's similar to the last one. Anti-monster infantry, I'm going to say it's 9.5, I guess. The Centurions could do a lot of work if they can reach the enemy. The 5 hammers and the Death Company is obviously very good. I would prefer to see more Sanguinary Guard, but I guess I'd give it a 9.5. But yeah, I would prefer to see more Sanguinary Guard. Mobility, same 7.5. I guess Centurions are slow. Your Librarian is slow. I'm actually maybe a little bit confused if you actually need the jump pack on your healer, if your healer is going to be hanging out with the Centurions, but maybe it's a handy thing to have. And then Specialization. So we have Denies, we have Fight Last, we have Overwatch, we have a good number of 3 damage weapons with those Centurions. We have an okay amount of CP. We have protection against mortals. We get too many characters again, so this is very, very similar in terms of scoring. The Whirlwind has won tons of your games. Blood Angels Commander, we have witnessed its MVP status. It doesn't kill a lot, but the suppression fire helps a lot. If I'd maybe known that the space, again, because I hadn't played Space Wolves, if I'd known that he could have fight lasted me 18 inches without line of sight, I would have probably suppressed a different unit in the middle of the board, so that would have made a difference as well. So yeah, I would like to get some more practice games against Space Wolves. They're one of the Marine factions that you see that occasionally pop up high in tournament play. And yeah, they're certainly not bad. He actually had a very similar list to what I used to run with, like the double Redemptor Dreadnoughts. And yeah, sometimes things go against you in a tournament, and those Redemptors came back to bite me. Do I want to run double Redemptor myself? I mean, I thought about it after the tournament a little bit, but I don't think so. I think I want to just double down on melee combat for a little while. I've been enjoying playing that way, and sometimes it can be very hard if your list doesn't have those. I actually thought about this as well, because there was a Scepters player that I might have played in the final round, and obviously if you don't have ways to shoot out the Repentia, if you fight them in combat and you die into the Repentia, they fight on death. Actually, do you know what? There was a question I had, and DTM and anyone else in here could probably answer it, right? Let me bring up a paint picture here and I want you to tell me how. Let me bring up just regular paint, right? I want to know how this rule interaction works, right? So, like in turn 1, I had my Death Company. We'll use black. We'll use circles, right? So my Death Company are like here. Deployment zone is like this. And there's an object. Yeah, and then there's an objective like here, right? So the Space Wolf player, oh well, the objective will be in yellow. Space Wolf player has like 2 squads of guys, right? A squad of Wolven like this. I think it might have been 6 Wolven. Maybe it was only 5. I think it was 6. Oh no, it was 5 because he had that Space Wolf dog here, right? So this was the dog in the purple. So he had the squad of 6 here. God, I'm not very good at doing this. I'm a purple. And then he had another, yeah, purple. Right, and then he had a squad of Blood Claws around here. So what I did was I made my Forlorn Fury charge, right? This way. And I guess my Death Company ended up something like this, right? Oh, shit. Circles. So I think what I did was I put... It was like here. So there'd been one here. There'd have been one here. I think there was one here, and one here. So my idea was that, like, I'm going to put 3 into the squad of Woven. The 3 that are here. I'm going to fight these Woven. And the 2 that are here, they're going to fight the Blood Claws, right? The 3 that are here, they wipe this squad completely. And that was how they were displayed, right? So it was like they were daisy chained like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like this, yeah? When they fight on death, because he just fought with the whole squad, right? Was that right? Or was, like, can he consolidate and fight if they die? Like, how I actually don't know the wording, and I was thinking about it afterwards. Yes, that was my question basically. Like, 3 of them wouldn't have been in engagement range when they die. Are they still allowed to fight me? That would have made a big difference because he wiped the Death Company with the Woven, basically. Do you mean can they pile in when they fight on death? Yeah, pretty much. Can they? What's the rule for them? Each time a model is destroyed by melee attack, if the model has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after attacking models' units have finished making an attack, then it is removed from play. It can fight. Doesn't say anything about they can consolidate in, yeah? Okay, then I guess I should have looked because arguably these 2 wouldn't have been able to move far enough. Because if this gap here was 2 inches, and this gap here was 2 inches, and this model would have been like 1.5, then this model could have shifted over. So he could have fought with these front 3. But these 2 at the back, they'd only been able to move 3 inches, right? So this one definitely wouldn't have been able to fight. Because he wouldn't have been in half an inch of either of these 2. And this one was questionable. So if I fought this guy again, I will be much more better with my positioning. What secondary would I have chosen instead of Oath? I'd have chosen Stranglehold. I would have got 15 points from Stranglehold. If you looked at his primaries in that game, he got 4 points for the first 4 turns. I think he went 4-4-4. It was only the final turn he got points. So I would have taken, if I'd taken Stranglehold and Banners, I would have got I'd have got 11 more points. And then if I'd realised he could have made me fight last through a wall, I would have denied his Stranglehold points as well. But still, yeah, so this would have actually been pretty big. I think that 2 of his guys in turn 1 actually shouldn't have been able to fight me. I actually don't know if I have a photo of the game. I don't know if I took a photo of... Let me have a look at my phone. Did I take a photo early enough in the game to see where his positioning was? No, I didn't. I don't think. No, I didn't. That's annoying though. But I just took it. He just said, "Oh, the Woven can fight on death." I was like, "Oh shit, okay, sure," you know. But yeah, so they would have had to be within half an inch of one of these 2, and I don't think they could have because he had another model in here from another squad. So I don't think there's any way they could have reached them. So maybe my Death Company would have lived, and that might have been kind of huge. because the Blood Claws weren't going to kill them. It was like 2 guys with chain swords. They didn't do anything. They wouldn't have done anything. But like the Woven was like 4. I think it was 2 Thunderhammers and 3 Lightning Claws. So I would have dodged maybe half of that. Okay. Good to know though for the future, right? So I guess if I position my guys even more smartly, I could have even maybe put it that you would have only managed to get. Yeah, I think the most he could have managed to get in would have been 2. I think you would have always managed to get 3 guys piled in, but 2 of them definitely wouldn't have been able to fight. Are you allowed to wear a GoPro? I mean, you could wear a GoPro if you wanted. Good afternoon, Left-Handed Texan. How you doing? If wounds can be allocated to a model which was not an engagement range, I would think that fight on death mechanic would trigger so it can fight. They would no. I mean, it wouldn't, Christian. They would have had to be in standard. They can't. They would have to either be within 1 inch of my model or within half an inch of another model that is in half an inch. If they were out with that, which I definitely think 2 of them would have been, they shouldn't have been able to fight. But yeah, they can only pile in 3 inches though, right? They can't pile in 6. So what I was trying to say was that my guy was here. Oh, for fuck's sake. You can tell I'm not artist, right? My guy was here. Blood Angel. His guys were like here, 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 and here. And they were in like standard formation, so this would have been like 1.5 inches, and that would have been 1.5 inches. So there's no way this guy would have been, he would have been able to move to there, which is no way near enough to this guy. That would have been about 2 inches. God, you can't even write in this thing. That would have been about, wow, what a crap paint program. You have to do like, so that would have been like 2 inches, and that would have been like 3 inches. So there's no way that guy could have fought my guys over here, right? Does anyone have access to the Space Wolf list? It was 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. It was, I think, 2 5-man Vanguard Vets, 2 5-man Woven. I think I posted it in Discord in the members list. I think I posted. If not, I can get it for you. Ping me in the members room, Riziel, if it's not there. But yeah, I don't think. I think there's no way these 2 guys could fight. If this was like 1.5 inches, and the bases of the guys are like 1.5 inches, right? And then this was 1.5. Like, there's no way he can get far enough across to be within half an inch of this guy. So these 2 just couldn't have fought, which might have been huge. I'll know for next time. And also, I thought about that afterwards. I killed another squad of Woven, and it was similar. It was a similar situation where they all fought again, and potentially, the dead ones wouldn't have been in position to fight. So, I guess if you're fighting Woven or something like that, like if they're in a strung out deployment or something like that, if you're smart, you could limit how much comes back at you. I'll know that for next time, right? Is anyone else jacked up from the death from above rules? Asks Stephen. So I'm gonna definitely make a video on the new chapter approved stuff, but we're also gonna maybe do a live stream over on the Grots channel. So I'll be announcing on my community when that's happening. It's probably gonna happen. It's not going to happen this Thursday because the book isn't out, so it's probably going to happen the Thursday after that. So probably on the 30th, we'll have a pretty in-depth live stream over on Grots and talk about all the rules. I'm not going to cover too much of the rules from like leaks and stuff. I prefer doing it when I have the book in front of me in case anything comes up that's wrong, I guess. Excuse me 1 second. Sangry Left-Handed Texan got a Sangry Priest yesterday. That's cool, dude. I almost ran the Sanguinary Priest in this list this week. It was very, very close. In hindsight, yeah, I also think, Reziel, if I'd gone second in that game, I'd have won it because 9 of his points came from holding the middle at the end of every turn for Oath, and I held the middle at the end of every single one of my battle rounds, but I was going first. So that would have denied him like 9 points and given me like 9 points. And the game wasn't that wide a victory. I think it was like a 16-point victory. So yeah, it's weird. Sometimes you really want to go first, right? And against Terminators, I really, really wanted to go first. However, in the other 2 games, I was really happy to go second, but I got to go second against the Death Guard, and I got to go first against the Space Wolves. Unfortunately, if I'd gone second in that game, I would have been much, much happier. Bonus of a 6 months release schedules, lots of content for the channels. Yes, that is true. And the Grot's got to 666 subscribers today. So if anyone wants to help us on we're 2/3 of the way to 1,000. So very excited to be on the way. The Wolven is allowed to fight. Rulebook says fight equals pile in. He makes close combat attacks. Yeah, so he would be allowed to move 3 inches, Smithy. So the ones at the very back wouldn't be able to reach me. I think that was the point I was trying to make. So 2 of his guys, whatever weapons they had there, pretty sure they wouldn't have been able to reach. We can't go back and look in hindsight, but something to be aware for the future is like, where are you going to because with the Death Company, with your 26-inch first turn move or whatever it is, that could actually help a lot. Mark's already gone through the book in quite a lot of detail. Yeah, going second is a huge advantage for Oath. But I mean, I feel like I played well, Riziel. I think I had the tournament sheet downstairs, but I think I denied his scoring on primary. Oh, do you know what? I had the photo on my phone a second ago because I took a photo of it. For Battle Round 2, he got 4. For Battle Round 3, he got 4. For Battle Round 4, he got 8. And I think that... Yeah, so I guess... I think that... Like, I really denied his primary. So the big disadvantage to me was going second there. And also, I guess, his list seemed really fast. I really expected him to push out with everything. So that's why I went behind enemy lines, and he barely pushed out at all. He just, I guess because I had no shooting, he just decided to sit back with his Redemptors and his multi-meltas and try and pepper me across the battlefield. And I guess that was maybe a misplay, but I haven't played the Space Wolves for ages, so I didn't really... I looked at his list and thought, like, this is a pretty fast list. And yeah, I was second in terms of battle points. So although I didn't win, battle points was good as well. I'm getting there. I'm going to win a tournament at some point, I'm sure. I completely bottled the last one when I got to the top table, so this one at least I didn't get like 20 points again. What's D King's list, says Mark. Yes, what is D King's list? He's got an Agent of Imperium, who's an Inquisitor. We're going to see this, I suppose. I was going to say, he's going to have the psychic power that gives him the ability to... For a minute, I thought he was going to have the mental interrogation, the one that gives CP, but he's not. He's got historic lore. I don't know what that is. And I completely just missed somebody becoming a member or something like that. Thank you so much for becoming a member, John Turner. I really do appreciate it. I'm well behind my membership goal this month, but every little helps, so thank you so much for that. I've been finding that the search thing on Wikipedia is really temperamental at the moment. Alright, so historic lore. Oh, it is a command point generating one. Okay, this warlord is a battlefield. Roll 1d6 each time your opponent uses a stratagem. On a 5+ you gain a command point. We're probably going to see this appear. It might be a 60-point Inquisitor who's just going to give you a command point on a 5+ every time your opponent uses a stratagem. How many stratagems are your opponent going to use in a game? 5, 10? 10 probably. On average, 8 or something, so on a 5+. So he's gonna cost you a CP to take. And he's probably only gonna generate you like one. But I guess there's a chance he might generate you another one. He's got a Psychic Veil, which is warp charge of 5. Okay, it's like you can stop the enemy shooting you unless you're the closest target. I don't think there's much in that. He's got digital weapons. I think that just does like a mortal wound when he fights. What happened there? Inquisition. Yep, so when he fights, he makes one additional attack. He'll do a mortal wound. This guy only costs 1 CP to include. I guess Arbiter of the Emperor's Will, I believe, gives him 1 relic and 1 warlord trait for the price. It's a bit cheaper, right? Select 1 Inquisitor model of your army that's not your warlord, determine 1 warlord trait, and then give it 1 relic. So you get to give your Inquisitor 1 relic and 1 warlord trait. And the warlord trait you've taken is that. I feel like there would have been a better psychic power you could pick. I don't know what Psychic Veil would. Why Psychic Veil is particularly good. If manifested at the start of your psychic phase, friendly Ordo Xenos units within 6 inches of the psychic can only be targeted of the attacks of their closest visible enemy, and they can only be selected as charges if they're within 6 inches of the charging models. What am I missing? Why is this good? Because you need the Ordo Xenos keyword, right? So he can veil himself. John just bought some Cataphractic Terminators. That's awesome, John. Do you buy them? Are they selling individual boxes now, or did you have to buy them on eBay or something like that? Universe and Athena should be taken instead of digital weapons. I got them from eBay. Oh, cool. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon this model with this relic against unit is not vehicle or Titanic, a wound roll of 2+ is always successful. Oh, that's interesting. What's he got? He's got probably a power sword or something, right? He's just got a chain sword. Okay. So how much is an Inquisitor with like a power sword? So you can pay 10 points for like a Force sword. Or you could pay 20 points for a Nemesis Demon Hammer. I'd probably take the Force sword. Okay, so, I mean, we might see more of this. It does open up Psychic Interrogation. Is Psychic Interrogation still in the new book? Who knows if, can't target or shoot him. I suppose it makes him untargetable. Is there not a better... would you not take Mental Interrogation, though? Would you not try and just, steal more command points from your enemies? Wow, £17 on eBay for Relic Terminators. That's really cheap. I need to maybe get some of these new plastic ones. Alright, so he's got Cassian Savis, who is, if you've not seen him, he's a red scorpion character. This is a successor chapter, so it is Red Scorpions. Savis is pretty good. He's basically the Red Scorpions chapter master, but he also gets this cool ability where he can basically pick a core unit or a character within 6 and add 1 to the attacks. So if you use Cassian Savis like in conjunction with Death Company, you can give them +1 attack just because you've got Cassian Savis on the board. So your Death Company could get 6 Thunderhammer hits per turn in turn 1. He's got the Sanguinary Priest who's got Soul Warden. He is the Chief Apothecary, and he's also got Armor Indomitus to keep him alive. And then he's got Severin Loth, who's got Quickening, Unleash Rage, and Winds of Sanguinius. And Severin Loth is also a cool Red Scorpion character. And he's also got an ability where In your command phase, select one Red Scorpion core within 6. Each time you task a Psyker, you can reroll your wound rolls. He is the Chief Librarian. And yeah, so basically you can make it that your character. Sorry, what did I say? You can give +1 attacks to your Death Company, and then you can make them reroll all their wounds if the enemies are Psychers. So I imagine you're going to see a 10-man Death Company, and yeah, we're going to see a 10-man Death Company for sure. 3 Thunderhammers. Technically, that's almost like 4 because of the additional attacks. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's actually 9 Death Company. But that's probably enough in that your Chainsword guys are getting 7 attacks, your Thunderhammers are getting 6. And then they're re-rolling all their wound rolls if they're targeting psychic enemies. It's pretty cool. Okay, so he does have 4 characters, but the points costs are under 500. It's like 495. So I guess 4 characters might work if you're only spending 495. Incursors and Assault Intercessors is standard. 2 squads of Relic Terminators, Lightning Claws, and Combi Bolters, and then Chain Fists and Combi Bolters and Quake Bolts. Makes a lot of sense. If it was me, I might be tempted to put 2 Lightning Claws into one squad and 2 Chain Fists into the other. I like keeping my squads more versatile. I always feel like you never know what you're going to get. Like, I don't like I run 2 squads of Sanguiguard, and I think it's always useful to have half and half. Because when you start losing models, you can decide at that point, right? Like, if you run half swords and half axes, and you're into an opponent where axes are really good, then you start removing the sword models, and vice versa. And you could do the same here, right? If you're running into a horde list, you start losing models where you pick off lightning claw guys. Sorry, chainfist guys. If you're losing into like into a vehicle list, you start picking off the lightning claw guys. And I like that. I think if you're smart, you can do it well. But I mean, some people like to run their whole squads of the same units. He's done the exact same things with his swords and axes. Again, your call on how you do that. Is another librarian stronger than Mephiston? I mean, Severin doesn't get any sort of rerolls, does he? Unlike he gets to +1 to deny, so he's kind of got the same. He's got the same problem with his Mephiston. He doesn't get anything great, but I suppose he does have this. Each time you make a weapon attacked against a Psyker, he does mortal wounds. So he has got a flat 3 weapon. So he's 5 points cheaper than Mephiston. He does have a flat 3 weapon, and he also has mortal wounds into Psychers. So that's pretty decent. He's not as survival as Mephiston. 1 less toughness, 1 less wound, 1 less save. He does have a 4-up invulnerable save though, which is pretty nice. We don't often see librarians with a 4-up invulnerable save. So what does Severin Loth look like? Yeah, cool model. He's actually the model that I bought to make my jump chapter, my librarian with a jump pack. I actually converted this guy. I forgot that. Okay. What was the Warlord trait on Cassian Savis as well? I forget his Warlord trait. I don't know if he's taken him as a Warlord. It's boring. Just +1 leadership within 6. Okay, so it's shit. Just take all swords because swords are for the win. Yeah, I mean, swords are good into a lot of armies. I guess axes win against, like, custodes, orcs, and Tau, right? But swords are good, yeah. We have the Scout Squad with 2 Infernal Pistols, and then we have the Landspeeder Storm. So someone's actually running your Scout Squad Landspeeder Storm combo, Highland Phoenix. Okay, so this is a list for the US Ogo in San Diego. It got 12th, and it made him the best Imperium player. And best Blood Angels are Red Scorpions, I guess. It's not far off from other lists you have reviewed for me. This was on GW terrain with a lot of weird matchup. GW does the kind of weird bracket system which I liked. So the first 4 games determined your bracket, next 4 were determined your position in the bracket. A 1v Genestealers, Hive Fleet Kraken, Chaos Knights. Later 2 had gone top 8 at other open events, and I lost versus Harlequins. The next 4 games I won these Knights, but lost against a cheating Eldar player. Long story, turns out most of his rules he did were wrong. That's the fucking worst, dude, when you go to a tournament and someone is either cheating or doesn't know the rules properly. Honestly, pisses me off so much. I would prefer, like, obviously everybody makes mistakes in games, And if someone calls me out and I made a mistake, I'll instantly fix it if I can. You know, but like if you run into someone that's cheating even a little bit, it just ruin like it can just ruin your day at a tournament. So yeah, pet peeve of mine. I hate people that cheat. Um, Leviathan and then the Kraken. Overall, listed pretty well. Mostly I fucked up some plays, like killing my own Sangre Guard for no gain with a failed charge. My MVP was actually Sergeant with the double Infernal Pistol, who did 6 wounds to Hive Tyrant, winning me that entire flank. 8 to Harpy and killed a Carnifex, who was weakened. Okay, so double Infernal Pistol in a Landspeeder Storm. Severin Lothar's ability to give full rule rolls to wound v Psyker is pretty amazing vs Tyranids and their big bugs, and his 4++ is saved to multiple times. The amount of efficiency my little castle of characters gets out of my units, let them trade really well into other units. Anyway, interested in your thoughts on the matter. I think this is a cool list. I like the 2 Red Scorpions characters. I don't know if I would typically run them myself because I feel like they're a little bit slow, but yeah, I mean, there's no denying that this is gonna Severin Loth is gonna be amazing into like transhuman nids that are psychers. Rerolling all your wounds into them is going to be amazingly good. Cassian Savis giving +1. I mean, he's got this giant death company. He might actually be better just running 5 death company with Thunderhammers, because when you use Cassian Savis on them, they're that's just 30 Thunderhammers for 180 points, rerolling all their hits. I think he had Quake Bolt somewhere in the list as well, yeah. So you basically have 30 Thunderhammers, re-rolling all their hits, in Assault Doctrine from turn 1, and then re-rolling all their wounds. So into Turnids, yeah, that's really, really good. There's a successor chapter, Mike. I don't know too much about them, but they're basically a Blood Angel successor chapter, the Red Scorpions. I don't know if I can get... Can I get... The Red Scorpions are stalwart defenders of the Imperium. Does it say anything about... Their unknown founding. It may suggest that they're an Ultramarine successor chapter, but I guess he's running Inheritors of the Primarch, which basically means that he is still getting the Blood Angels doctrine, but he's able to use the Red Scorpion characters. D-King's run this a few times or something similar, and it's very cool. And into the current meta, I mean, it's good. 2 squads of Terminators, durable. 2 squads of Sangre Guard, fast-moving, durable. Landspeeder, Storm, and Scout, very decent. The Big Death Company, with an additional attack and rerolling all their wounds into Psychers. The standard Assault Intercessors and Cursors, his little character blob, and then gaining back some CP and having an untargetable Inquisitor that can, I guess, do a mortal wound a turn. I think I agree with Highland Phoenix, though. I would give that Inquisitor, like, I would pay the 10 points, give him a 4 sword, and make it that he always wounds on 2s. Because that seems cool. Feels like that would probably be more valuable than 1 mortal wound a turn. Assault Intercessor Sergeant could have a power sword as well. Yeah, of course he could. This Death Company could definitely be changed to just 5 Thunderhammers. It would save some CP on Forlorn Fury. And you pretty much delete whatever you go into. At that point, you would get back, like, what, 70 points or something? Surely you could do something else with 70 points. You couldn't have any more elites because he's got 6 choices, but maybe you could take a Landspeeder, just a regular 70 point Landspeeder with multi-melta. Could help with behind enemy lines, engage, scoring, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if you compare this to my list, it's not a million miles away. You know, 2 squads of Sangre Guard, squad of Terminators, squad of Death Company, both the squads of Incursors, Assault Intercessor, Chapter Master, Chief Librarian. So then the only difference is I've got a Sangre Ancient rather than the Priest. I've got some Vanguard Veterans rather than this Terminator squad, and then I've got a Whirlwind rather than the Scouts and the Storm. You know, like it's pretty solid core. I feel like I've got something else, but can't remember what it is now. Land Speeder, that was it. Yeah. So it's a decent high scoring list, I guess, and I mean he makes it work. He wins a bunch of games with Tyranids being so dominant in the meta. It's the reroll wounds into Tyranid, like their whole fucking army is transhuman basically. So rerolling the wounds is huge, right? Because when you're only wounding on 4s army wide, that can hurt you. You know, on every squad, that's basically a 25% damage increase, right? Because 4s rerolled into 4s is 75%, but 4s on their own is just 50%. So your Sanguinary Guard would get a 25% damage buff, and also you can give them +1 attack as well. So you're getting 1 extra attack. You're getting Sanguinary Guard with 6 attacks potentially. I mean, like, that's brilliant, right? Nids don't have normal transhuman army wide. I mean, Leviathans. That's what I played yesterday. So I played Leviathan yesterday, and like tons of their stuff have transhuman. Not all of it is 4-up transhuman. Some of it is 3-up transhuman. But it's all hurting Blood Angels, right? Like it's all basically nullifying our +1 to wound, which is like our strongest trait. Okay. Yeah, I mean this is a good list. I don't have a problem with it. Don't know if I don't feel like it's anything mind blowing, but I do think it's good, and I do think it'll win games just because it can throw out so much damage. And I guess you can trade units super well. Like if you just have Cassian Savis hiding behind some sort of obscuring terrain, and each turn he gives one of these units +1 to attacks, Chapter Master rerolls and throws them off. Then I think it can trade really well. Anti-horde effectiveness, I suppose, is not bad because you've got a shitload of combi bolters, you've got a shitload of Angelus bolt guns. So, I mean, your combi bolters alone are chucking out 40 shots per turn. Angelus bolt guns are shutting out like 16, 20 shots or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit higher on the anti-horde. I'm going to say it's like an 8. It's not really much AP, but there's definitely more shots. Anti-monster stuff. 3 damage weapons. You got those 3 Thunderhammers. You got the 5 combi bolters. You got a couple of Infernal Pistols. So 3 damage weapons isn't hugely effective, but I think the additional attack probably counteracts all that. I think mobility-wise, the Terminators aren't mobile, but maybe they don't need to be because they can arrive from deep strike. Your characters aren't mobile, so it's similar. And then specialization, so you can. What's the strat on the Land Speeder Storm again? Why is the search on Wikipedia so shit at the moment? It seems like it's just there must be something wrong with it. Dedicated transport, Land Speeder Storm. The strat is shock and awe. So you do have the ability to turn off Overwatch, and you can also make enemies -1 to hit with their attack roll. Okay. So you've got Overwatch denial. You've got denies. You don't have fight last. You do have units for actions. You do have 3 damage weapons. You are starting with 9 CP, which is generally pretty high. You do have protection against mortals. You get 3+ characters, but you're kind of countering that by having that really cheap Inquisitor. So it's more like a 9, I think. So I think the main weakness in the list is your characters aren't very mobile. But I mean, do these 2 characters need to be mobile if they can just hand out their buffs and and throw them off. And I mean, arguably Severin is mobile because he's got wings. And with Severin has a flat 3 damage weapon that does mortals every wound roll. There is a new rule with dedicated transports, yes, where they must start with a unit in them, or they're going to just be instantly be destroyed. Mark. So no more spamming land speed or storms. I was going to say, is there anything else that's weirdly positioned in dedicated transport? Not really, I guess. It's just going to be for Dukari or something. It might, but I still don't think you can put Voidsman in storms. 100%. I don't see how you can put Voidsman in storms. We had a huge debate about this, Highland Phoenix. Ghost Arcs for Necrons were almost always empty. Yeah, and what's funny is Ghost Arcs are shit because they just do randomly D6 shots or something and then D6 damage. Ghost Arcs are, I don't know if they're viable. I think it's a good change though, because they're probably priced a little bit cheaper because they expect you to have a model inside them, and then they've got nothing inside them. So I'm okay with the land speeder storm change. I don't think Voidsman can go in land speeders because I think they need to have the scout keyword. I think they would need to be scout infantry, and Voidsmen are not scout infantry. We could debate that further, but my understanding was that you could, like, Voidsman could go in a Rhino because the thing with Voidsman is it says, like, let's read it. Where was it? This model can ignore keyword requirements when embarking on Imperium transport models. All of the other transport models restrictions still apply. So for a Rhino, this model has a transport capacity of infantry. So I think they'd be. So I think you could, when it keywords, I think it means red scorpions, or if it was blood angel, it would be blood angels. So because Voidsmen are infantry, they can go inside it. But I don't think they're allowed to ignore that scout word because I think it's a separate keyword. 70 points for a Rhino. I haven't run a Rhino in so long. 80 points for a Rhino, actually, apparently. We could debate it. Is it legal to put Voidsman in storms? It is legal. We talked about it a wee while ago. They ignore all keywords. You can ignore keyword requirements when embarking. All of the other transport models restrictions still apply. So is the transport model restriction not scout infantry? Someone would have to check that. Most tournaments have allowed it. Okay. Alright, when we debated it before, we really felt like Voidsman could go in a Rhino, but they couldn't go in a Storm. Okay, alright. You think the restriction is just another model? Okay, I'll defer to you guys' judgment if that's what you think. Alright. I think we're about done for tonight then. I guess these lists could all change in a week's time. The Inquisitor says similar, and so you can't put a Terminator Inquisitor in a Rhino. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just seems super shady to me. I suppose if I wanted to do it, I guess if you want to do it, you could You could email the tournament organizer and ask him if he thinks it's fine for you to do it. Anyway, in the meantime, yeah, these lists will probably all change. I think if you haven't ordered it yet, chapter approved Nephilim is available to order now. I ordered mine earlier today, and I guess there is leaks all over the internet. You think your collective minds are elsewhere? Yeah, everybody's talking about the new stuff. I want to talk about the new stuff. Obviously, didn't get a chance to look at any of it yesterday because I was playing in that tournament. But as soon as I get the new book, so I'm probably just going to share some tournament lists this week on the channel, and then I'll hopefully I'll have the new book next week. We'll make some videos. If anyone's got suggestions for the new book, you're more than welcome to obviously put them into the Discord room. Just tag me and I'll have a look at them. And we'll do a stream on the Grots channel. If you haven't yet subbed to the 3 Grots, you totally should. This is our channel. 3 Grots and a Vox. We're 669 now. Trying to get to 1,000, guys. So if you know anybody as well that likes to see random Warhammer content, share it with them. We are doing we've got quite a few we've got quite a bit of content here now. Yeah, like is this like almost 20 episodes. Contemplating hand flamers and power swords and Death Company. If hand flamers weren't strength 3, I might consider them Highland Phoenix. I just think with strength 3, they're not going to wound fuck all. I mean, yeah, they wouldn't have helped into the Wolven at all as well, because the Wolven are toughness 5. So, what's the AP on a hand flamer? It's not going to be good, is it? It's going to be like -1 as well, right? So 5 points for average, like 3 strength 3 shots. I have some Death Company with hand flamers. Push the nipples? What, on these guys? What are you talking about, nipples? Cool. Alright, I'm going to take off then. Thank you so much for watching tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I guess everything's going to change again, which is good. Let's keep our fingers crossed for Sanguinary Guard going down in points. And I guess let's see what happens with the new lack of CP. I foresee Dante being in everybody's list now, I think. But I guess we'll see. Dante's the Warlord in everybody's list is my predictions. Is it next week yet to get the changes? I think I said the 25th. I think it'll be this Saturday that the new book will be out. So arguably it'll be next week. Sorry, the week after where I start releasing content on it. But yeah, let's hope for. When did they say when the points are coming? The points coming on the 25th as well. If the points are going to be digital on the 25th, that would be cool. No one knows. Okay, all right. So we don't know about the points. As soon as we do, yeah, Warhammer community is surely going to announce that this week, I would guess. And then we can cover all the new secondaries and the new missions and stuff. Don't worry, we'll have videos and everything. So stay tuned. There will definitely be some content on Chapter Approved on the Grots channel as well. So if you're not subscribed over there, I would appreciate it. And we will be putting out pretty useful content because I'll be diving into some of the stuff with Mark and Tony. So subscribe over there as well, please. And then, all right, enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in last night as well, guys. And yeah, thanks again for all the help in this recent RTT. I don't know if I would have finished top 3 without some of the help that I got from you guys in Discord and chat and stuff like that. Super appreciated. I will eventually win an event. I promise. I'm gonna do it. But we'd be coming to the third time to the top table next time, because I've been there twice. I've actually been to the top table in back-to-back tournaments, so hopefully I can do it in the third time lucky. Third time's a charm. I'll keep trying. All right, enjoy the weekend, guys. Thanks again. Good night. Peace. And Mike's going to paint me a whole set of Horus Heresy box if I want it. I might hit you up, Mike. I don't know when or where I'm planning on getting the Horus Heresy box, but I mean, some people had it yesterday, and everything inside it looked very cool, and that's a very kind offer. Peace. Good night.